Chris Diaz is an expert in Africa, aviation, infrastructure, manufacturing and the growth of trade, and has been a leading executive at International Airlines and Kenya Airport Services, and is an IATA certified leader for airline and airport expansion. First things first, just the basics. What's actually a national airline? What does it really constitute, by the way?
A national airline is a country or a nation's flag carrier, and it's strongly identified with the country that it flies from, where the hub is. Good examples: British Airways, Kenya Airways, all the national carriers across different markets. But an airline registered in a given country is a national airline, and they have a fleet and a network where they fly both nationally, domestically, and then regionally, for example, in Africa, in Europe, depending where the hub is. And it's a very big pride for the country and for the region. And then they also partner and fly globally with other airlines.
And I think you mentioned something about pride, because what we've been seeing in Africa, and especially East Africa, you're talking about Uganda, Tanzania, different parts of the continent. We've just been seeing the resurrection or the revival of, airlines, or even some which were previously not in existence, like Eswatini Air. What's this frenzy of owning a national airline all about? Is it just about pride?
Well, that's a very, very good question, Richard, because today all the countries are finding the requirement for a national carrier as a very big supporter for globalization of business, in terms of international trade, in terms of bringing investors into the country, in terms of increasing tourism, increase in terms of marketing their countries, also regionally, making sure that we create hubs that can connect, and especially with the African Continental Trade Agreement, all these countries in East and Sub-Saharan Africa really need to do inter-Africa trade. So this is where the greatest opportunity lies, or in terms of growing into double digits, in terms of how we can increase both international trade, investors, and also more tourists. Just like last year, the UN World Travel Organization said 60 million tourists came into Africa. So this can grow to 80 million tourists with the growth of airlines and more aircrafts coming into the region.
Let me ask you, Chris, because I try to wonder, does Africa really need new airlines? Because you look at it, very expansive continent, there's need for people to travel, but starting small airlines across every other country, is that viable really? Is there a business case for that really?
Well, there's business case for the air travel business, because air travel is broken into both holidays, into passengers coming and out of the hubs and countries. But don't forget, there is also air freight, which is in trillions of dollars across globally in the world. So growth rate for cargo and e-commerce is over 5% now. So this makes a very good business case to have partnerships. So we don't need all countries to have national airlines, but we could have regional airlines that can interconnect with other continents, so that we increase globalization, and also to increase low-cost carriers, because low-cost carriers means budget airlines, which means people can afford to fly.
Chris Diaz, an expert in African aviation, talking to the airplane-loving Richard Kagur.